What do you fight for? It's a question that stands at the pinnacle of battle. It's the answer to this question that allowed Naruto to do more than merely defeat his foes. The same question that leads to Sasuke's eventual acknowledgement. And it's perhaps this idea that is most misunderstood about Team 7's female member. While as far as I can see, her character arc has a clear, succinct through line, but even I must admit it harbors at least one major flaw compared to her main character peers. For Naruto, what started his tale as an academy student has everything to do with what he unknowingly inherited. The fourth left him with a power that he could only control for the world's benefit with shinobi skills. Sasuke, being the son of the Uchiha police force's leader, aspired to inherit that position. This makes it all the more tragic, seeing how this ambition is forced to be forgotten for so long. And Kakashi, he grew up looking up to his ninja father, but one day he'd be peering down at that same man's corpse, which blights his shinobi path until that fateful day with Obito. Sakura, while we do or should know why she eventually walks the specific shinobi road she does, has an origin somewhat shrouded. By shrouded, I don't mean that we don't know her parents at all. I mean we at least know they aren't shinobi. But we haven't seen enough of their dynamic or history to understand why exactly Sakura spends her childhood in the academy. Did her non-ninja parents see more potential for her in the shinobi life compared to the average civilian? Did they perhaps feel this way because Sakura demonstrated a knack for chakra control at an early age? Well, we don't know, and there's nothing that is clear enough to make a confident claim. This pitfall, I believe, is significant, as her other counterparts' deepest roots enrich their character arcs significantly, especially in retrospect, whereas Sakura's is left feeling incomplete. I'd say it's pretty bad if a one-off movie does more toward exploring her roots than Kishimoto does in the manga. Now, I know what you may be wondering, but Hot Boy, doesn't your example seem almost insignificant in the grand scope of her character? Well, not exactly. For example, what if Sakura never wanted to be a shinobi at all? As I'll elaborate later in this video, she does acquire a robust reason to fight. But before that, what got her here in the first place? What if her parents initially forced this life upon her because of her potential alone, even though she never had any interest in it? This might explain why in the beginning of this story, she takes having her parents for granted, given they only burden her with a fate that typically leads one to die young. This would add a fantastic dynamic between her, Sasuke, and Naruto, given their difference in familial connection is what ultimately leads to their fundamental misunderstandings of each other. Naruto never had anything, Sasuke lost it all, and Sakura has it, yet it's only weighed her down. Have I mentioned before that I've written my own additional arcs between Land of Waves and the Chunin exams that have just this for Sakura? Comment below if you want to see me make videos about those one day. Also, give this video a like while you're at it. Please. Okay though, I've ragged on this cutie enough. Let's talk about what makes her better than what most people give her credit for. Starting with a bit past her deepest origins. A class of girls, instructed in the art of deception. And Sakura, true to her nature, unable to seamlessly follow along. She, like Naruto, finds it difficult to waver from what she truly believes. Every time she lies, her encrypted words are obvious to the ones listening. She would try her hand at this dogma time and time again, tell herself it's for the better. But at no point could she truly resonate with it. The reason why is because through this initially purposeless road, she finds meaning in a boy her age. But before that meaning sets in, her desire was superficial. A cute boy who's the best in class, and a best friend whose eyes are locked on the same target. In this scenario, she finds her reason to grow. Paralleling Naruto's juvenile ninja way, where he fights solely to be acknowledged, Sakura finds a goal in one day proving she isn't a mere bud. And she'd do this by eclipsing the girl she respects most. If she can win over Sasuke, then she'll have validated her worth as a shinobi. She never had parents who inspired her to be a great ninja, but what she did have were two children her age that gave her some semblance of direction. The girl she respected most, a konoichi, and the boy she likes, a shinobi. Perhaps here is where she belongs after all. Maybe she will bloom into a flower so long as she continues the path of a ninja. But immediately after decreeing to her rival where she stands with this newly acquired headband, she is proven naive. The ninja world is not such a frivolous place. Even if one has powerful ambitions driving their focus, it can all be taken away by reality in one single night of despair. This process is one she knows not of, but one she must study if she truly wishes to live as a konoichi. And the person who enlightens her most? Sasuke. Ironically, the same boy her eyes have been locked on the most is the one she understands the least. When she yaps away about Naruto's circumstance without regarding its gravity, Sasuke retaliates with a cold truth. The warmth she seeks in this goal won't ever be there so long as she stays unaware of its origin, but it doesn't take her long to gain insight. her first exposure to grim reality coming in the form of the deception she's so bad with. Before, in the bell test with her sensei, this deception defeated her. But here, she responds to what she believes is reality with her true heart. Shinobi must not shed tears, for it reveals the humanity they are supposed to cut away. A weakness. While it may on the surface seem like a weakness, it's these emotions that have gotten her this far, so why would she reject them? Why would she reject the core of her strength? And, harmonizing with the displays of emotion from both her comrade and enemies alike, the veil is lifted. Sasuke was never truly in any danger at all. Humanity intervened in Haku's attacks, for he too could never allow his mask to smother his heart. By staying true to her ninja way, the emotions that drive her, Sakura is rewarded with that enlightening light's survival, one that continues to grow hereafter, granting her more insight in the Chunin exams. Sasuke once put himself between Sakura and the threat, keeping her out of harm's way. It was second nature to him, an instinct that displayed knowledge of loss. Naruto and Sakura burned that sight in their minds, committing to it in the forest of death against Orochimaru. Here, she acknowledges Naruto's growth, confirming she can see a lot more than before. And it's this clarity that enables her to stir Sasuke. Now, it becomes clear, her goal isn't some prodigal creature, but a boy just as flawed as she. And as long as she continues to grow, she can aid his growth too, becoming a light for him as well. This, fundamentally, is how the best relationships function. Two people coming together with all their flaws and baggage, helping sort the other's messes, and, in effect, becoming better versions of themselves for it. Through Sakura, Sasuke is reminded of the important things this paralyzing creature made him forget. But the root of this remembrance lies in darkness, one Itachi implanted long ago. Sakura stays true to her accumulating strength by defending her comrades with her life on the line. But when one of those comrades awakens with a different face, more reality seeps into Sakura. Sasuke once explicitly talked of the killing he must one day carry out. But Sakura, being naive as she was, disregarded its implications. Now, in this harrowing moment, she doesn't have the luxury of ignorance. It's here, plain as day. Sasuke's capacity for evil. She may not fully understand him yet, but what Sakura does know is his deepest truth, the desire to maintain his bonds. Yes, deep down, Sasuke yearns to keep them in the same way as Naruto. Even much later, on a completely different path, Sasuke would go out of his way to preserve the ties he has with new comrades. It's only when he's truly lost that he attempts to sever them entirely. And, by appealing to her emotions, her strongest weapon, she saves Sasuke from himself. And, for the first time, Sakura's own actions enlighten her to a truth. Her fascination with this man. It's not some superficial crush anymore, but love. Sakura's goal transforms from a rivalry to prove her worth, to a relationship that she wants to help keep on a path of light. But when those bonds prove to get in the way of his goal tinted in darkness, Sasuke departs from these precious things. Sakura, in an effort to stop him, musters the same thing she did back then, unabashedly revealing her heart to reach him. And she does, for what Sasuke leaves her with is his own heart, words expressing acknowledgement for all she's done for him. But as long as he's away from everything that reminds him of what he still has, there's a chance his inner shadow will grow out of control. The very scenario that one day leads Sakura to make a foolhardy decision to kill her love. She saw this as a potential fate for Sasuke all the way back here, and fights to prevent it. But there's another comrade who vows to fight that same battle, paralleling when she didn't truly understand Sasuke. Now, that lack of knowledge shifts onto her dynamic with Naruto. He made a promise in response to her emotional plea, but that isn't the crux of his motivation. Far from it. He too shares a bond just as deep as hers with Sasuke, one that goes back further. When he returns after failure, she misinterprets the reason. Perhaps it's because she relied too heavily on someone else to fulfill her wish for her. If Sakura yearns to achieve a goal, she should play an active role in the process. And she's right, but wrong about why Naruto failed. He has faults of his own that disallowed him from reaching Sasuke, and just as much as her, wants to see him as a member of Team 7 again. This misunderstanding would plague these two, and lead to harsh actions years down the line. But for now, Sakura takes the concept of healing one's heart and applies it literally, by becoming a medical ninja, and she acquires more than what she expects from it. Both an ability she plants that blooms in the final arc, and a way of shinobi she learns from her Sannin master. Just as Naruto inherits Jiraiya's dream of mutual understanding, Sakura inherits Tsunade's gambling habit. In the same way Tsunade bet on Naruto as the boy who'd survive her curse, Sakura bets on the survival of Sasuke's core. his inner light. After the time skip, she displays her growth by effortlessly dispelling Kakashi's deception that she fell to before. The mission she takes after this, pitting her in a life or death match against a walking deception. He deceives others with his puppet bodies, and deceives himself into believing these new vessels make him heartless. But it's a woman with as big a heart as any that helps him find it again. Sakura is rewarded with information on the place her heart lies, beyond the Tenchi Bridge, but not beyond Naruto. He caves to his darkness. And Sakura is left hurt, not just physically. If Naruto is suffering in this way for her promise, isn't that burden too much? Especially when it leads to the same result regardless. She was here this time, right before Sasuke, but she is powerless all the same. Naruto departs from his usual words of empathy, while Sakura can't say anything at all. How could she? The man before her has changed so much compared to those days. But the same is true of her, which is why it isn't Naruto who corrals this broken team, but Sakura, for her ninja way is as resolute as his. After all, no matter how much Sasuke's exterior differs, she bet a long time ago on salvaging his core. But it is this conviction that is put to the ultimate test in the Kage Summit. And for this, I'm going to segue into a section from a previous video I made, as it already goes into what I need to say here. Who am I? It's a question everyone faces, with an answer ever so elusive. One can easily walk a road labeled peace and reach a dead end called war. The actions themselves don't capture the individual's will, because the will does not necessarily dictate action and reaction. Naruto can say he wants to achieve what Jiraiya could not, can look like he has all the tools to achieve it with power surpassing his masters before him, but prowess and idealism alone does not solve issues, especially one as gargantuan as the world's gaping wound. He's so powerful, he's grown so much, and so many people have entrusted him with making the seemingly impossible possible. But even with all this going for him, he stumbles yet again after just finding footing on this long, arduous road. Nagato knew more than Naruto. He knew so much more, in fact, that he accurately predicted Naruto's fate before his demise. Naruto will come to know war, and when he does, that's when the real battle begins. The harsh reality is the victory over pain was a mere prelude to a lesson much bigger and much harder to endure. If understanding is quintessential to begin the process of resolution, then Naruto hadn't even achieved the first step. And this idea is reinforced by Naruto's new hypocrisy. He carries it with him when he grimaces through pointless blows, carries it with him when he brushes off a friend, and carries it with him when he is faced with his past failure. Naruto proved his strength over pain, so he doubles down on this fortitude by completely subscribing to his status as the child of prophecy. But, as the great Toad Sage lays out, even in the previous turmoil, that prophecy was usurped when Naruto and Nagato initiated great change together. He couldn't confront pain alone, and couldn't reach his foe without the lesson Nagato taught him. Yet he carries himself like his shoulders alone are capable enough to bear the weight of the world's pain. He's seen what that burden has done to the many he's encountered, so he makes a foolhardy effort to not let any more of that weight be distributed. He disregards that he never carried it alone in any of his battles. Disregards it is only when he endured that weight salvation was achieved. No one else can walk this road with him if their shoulders are bare. Naruto's selflessness becomes a weapon threatening his own dream. But he's not the only one in this web of contorted ambition. Paralleling him is the whole of Team 7, their faults all laid out and highlighted at the climax of the Kage Summit. Sai makes a grave error. His deduction of Naruto's resolve is completely separate from Sakura. But Sakura wouldn't know this, because Naruto wouldn't tell her, wouldn't tell Sai, wouldn't tell Kakashi. He can't give up on Sasuke because it would be the same as giving up on his dream. Sasuke, Hokage, and the world. All of these things, as unrelated as they may seem, are synonymous. Hokage is merely a status. It's not, I'm going to be Hokage, but instead, this is the kind of Hokage I'm going to be. Someone that can mend the broken, even if it seems futile. If he gives up on Sasuke, then he might as well give up on the world too, because the latter is far more daunting. Naruto accuses Sakura of lying to herself, but she's not. She never meant one word she said. The one who forced her into this corner is none other than Naruto, because he refuses to allow anyone close to this new path he follows. Everyone else is left with only assumptions. He isn't doing this for Sakura, or even Sasuke. He's doing it for himself, because this is what he needs to do in order to become the Hokage he desires. But when a future fellow Kage tries to reach out, even in a direct way, Naruto still persists with silence. It was he who taught Gaara how to connect with others. But now, Naruto is doing everything in his power to stray away from his own lesson. His actions betray Gaara's kindness and deepen the rift in Team 7. Sakura's betrayal of her feelings is a facade, but it's a prelude to the true betrayal she initiates immediately after this debacle. Sasuke is unrecognizable to her, and it's no wonder. He, just like Naruto, is riding on newfound hypocrisy. His, though, is far more black than his rivals. Sasuke reels when Danzo justifies sacrificing the Uchiha for the Leaf's greater good, and smiles when he justifies sacrificing Karin for his greater good. He uses his hatred as a weapon, eradicates his foe with it, and hurts an outlying party in the process. The same boy who didn't know anything, lying at Itachi's feet, perpetuates a similar cycle of despair for a reason much colder. This freezing aura adds justification behind Sakura's kunai. She tells herself the man in front of her isn't Sasuke. But is this really the case? Sure, his actions can't be bogged down to simply misguided anymore, but it's not like there isn't a root to his madness. Contorted as his ambition has become, it's still Sasuke's path. Just because something is hard to see doesn't mean it's not still there. And it's for this very reason Sakura hesitates. She's doing this for Naruto, but he doesn't want this, and she doesn't want this. While Naruto chokes on his own toxic selflessness, it contaminates Sakura as well. If Naruto won't allow her to bear her own share of the weight, then she will carry her own cumbersome load. And just like Naruto, she crumbles. Kakashi spawns to her rescue as a false savior. He puts off airs that he is different in his solo burden, because as sensei, it's his responsibility to mend what he previously could not. But, as Sasuke blatantly points out, he's not their sensei anymore. He's so much their peer now, even his blight is the same. He doesn't acknowledge Sakura's turmoil, just like Naruto did, which leaves him blind to her haphazard devotion. He refuses to ask himself why Sasuke would commit these atrocities, instead scolding his former student for the actions themselves. He doesn't know the current Sasuke, so why would the same outdated lecture work now? He deludes himself into believing he relieved Sakura of this burden, but Sakura foolishly never let it go, and Naruto swoops in to take it all for himself again. He steps forward, in front of Sakura, in front of Kakashi. He won't let them stand beside him as he confronts the rift in their team. Naruto discards the obvious, that they are as much a part of this as him and Sasuke, but even in this matter, he persists. Sakura needs to kill Sasuke. Kakashi needs to kill Sasuke. No, he would do it. And take it one step further, he wouldn't just shoulder Sakura and Kakashi's weight, but Sasuke's as well, by dying with him. How, though, is this any kind of resolution? Naruto and Sasuke make up half of their shattered team. If they were to perish, that wouldn't patch the rift, but instead make it impossible to retrieve scattered pieces. He understands his rival more than his comrades, yet still lacks a fundamental answer to resolve anything. Naruto abandons the very thing he wants for Sasuke. Sasuke remains unmoved in the stasis of darkness. Sakura opts to trust in the two she believes in the most, and Kakashi leaves the rest in Naruto's clumsy hands. All of them scattered even more after this confrontation, with Naruto falsely believing he has the magnet that will pull them back together. The fourth great ninja war is perhaps where Sakura's glaring shortcomings stand front and center. Her role takes the thematic backseat. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi play pivotal roles in keeping the intrigue alive in this final section of the story. Whereas Sakura is a part of the greater whole, but hers feels almost tertiary, not even secondary in importance like characters such as Tobirama or Guy. And I understand this is a more I feel this way argument rather than something more concrete, and for that, I apologize. Perhaps it's more me not finding her arc near as compelling as all the other characters at this point, but I digress. There's nothing that goes against her character's status quo, and she does a couple of cool things. But this doesn't even hit the bare minimum for one of the four main characters in this finale. At least, not for me. And it's such a shame, because her role is so cool in the previous arc, as misunderstood as it may be. Regardless, I still have a little bit more analysis left in me for this blooming bud. Sasuke's arrival brings with him unease. Has he changed? Perhaps. But is he someone who can allow others next to him is the question. Naruto understands immediately that Sasuke is still encased in shadow. His vague words are telling given Naruto's newfound perspective. But Sakura can only give a half-baked smile. She's not good at deceiving, after all. Her pathetic attempt at reassurance only confirms her anxiety, because she doesn't truly know where her former teammate stands. Even during the conflict where he seems to disregard her life, there's at least one moment where Sasuke reflexively reveals his humanity, that spark emanating from his core that she was worried he'd lost for good. But now, she at least knows reaching him is possible. So, she bets her remaining chips, placing all hopes on Naruto's ninja way. She's been one of his greatest supporters for a while now, and truly has faith in his strength. Sakura leaves the rest to Naruto with a prayer, the greatest demonstration of trust in the series. And at the end of this long, extended bet, Sakura earns a payout, revealing her role in Team 7. It's clearer than ever, an arm lost between each comrade, but her two arms make up for what they lack, with a healing touch that ensures this resolved strife does not end in darkness for the both of them. That's all these two need from her, a place where they can still feel secure after fighting through all their mistakes. And for her faith in his remaining humanity, Sasuke reciprocates with words of the heart, words she hadn't heard since that night years ago. Sakura told him then that if he left, she too would be hurt by the pain of loneliness, a feeling she couldn't comprehend back then. And after so long without him, Sakura, like the hero she heals, bridges the gap of mutual understanding with Sasuke. For like when Sasuke thought he lost his kind older brother, Sakura thought she lost that once bright light to the darkness. But here it is now, back again and brighter than ever. Together, these three distribute all the pain of the past, sharing it equally. When Sakura later asks to accompany him on his journey, it's not out of desperation like it was back then, but because she knows Sasuke is someone who can walk alongside others once again. And instead of leaving her with a final farewell, Sasuke departs with a promise of reunion, both exchanges unchanged in their display of emotion. Emotions this kunoichi has finally captured. Okay, that's it. Sakura's pretty good. As compelling as the three other mains? No, at least not for me. Honestly, not by a long shot. But she isn't even close to a bad character, nor is she useless or inconsistent. And I hope this video does a decent job of conveying that much.